Hello students, welcome to Learner's Planet. In this biology class, we are starting the next session of the chapter Fundamental Unit of Life. In the previous session, we have studied about the cytoplasm. We have seen that how it is maintaining the cellular environment or how it is so important for the positioning and functioning of different all other organelles present inside the cell. So, we have seen so many organelles inside. You can see in this diagram also like mitochondria, centrioles, endoplasmic reticulum, nucleus, vacuoles, lysosomes, etc. So all these are they are functional units. Each unit is having its own importance and its own particular role. And this is why we say that the cells also follow the property of division of labor. Now, before starting with any of these organelles, let us first understand the basic, most important master organelle of the cell, that is the nucleus. So, in this session, we are going to study about this particular organelle. And this organelle, that is nucleus, it is known as the brain of the cell. Can you think why it is so? Just imagine about the reason why it is known as the brain of the cell. The reason is, let us first think, what is the function of brain in a body? It is governing the entire activity, the entire function of the system, of the living system. Brain can control each and every activity which is carried out by the organism. Similarly, in the cell, the same function is performed by the nucleus. So we are calling this particular nucleus as the brain of the cell. It can produce the signal molecules, or it can help the organelles or other cells to recognize various signal molecules. It can give the instructions that which type of molecule is to be synthesized or what type of function has to be performed by any of the other organelles, or what material has to cross in and out of the cell. So entire function of the cell is actually controlled by the nucleus. So this is why we are calling it as the brain of the cell, or we can call it as the director of the cell, or it is also known as the control unit of the cell. Now this particular nucleus is something a spherical structure. It has round shape, and in the case of animal cells, these animal cells, they are actually having a centrally located nucleus. In the case of animal cells, the nucleus is having the center position. You can see in this diagram, this is a structure of an animal cell, a cross-section structure. So in this case, this center unit, circular or spherical, this is actually a nucleus, and within the nucleus there is this dense region, and this region is known as nucleolus. And further, in the surrounding condition, all other these organelles are present, like centrosome, above the nucleus, cytoplasm, scattered entirely, rough endoplasmic reticulum, smooth endoplasmic reticulum, and so on. All are having the specific position with respect to the nucleus. In the case of plant cells, this nucleus is actually not centrally located. It is pushed towards the side. You can see this mass here, this particular structure. This is a nucleus. So, can you think why we are using the term pushed here? We are saying in plants it is pushed towards the side of the cell. We are not saying it is located. It is pushed. That means what? That means in the case of plant cells, there is a large vacuole, and this you must have studied before also. So this large vacuole is actually full of sap. It is having enough or great amount of syrupy content inside, a cell sap. So this gives a turgid shape to the plant cell, and due to this particular turgidity, they get swelled up, and due to swelling up of the vacuole, the nucleus is shifted towards the side. Hence, we are saying that the nucleus is pushed towards the side of the cell in plant cells. So thus the location is different as compared to that in the animal cell. Further, In some of the cells, the shape may be oval, it may be irregular, or it may be lobed, as in the case of white blood cells. So irregular means they are not having a specific shape. Oval means it is something cylindrical, not exactly circular. So let us say what we mean by these lobed structures. Irregular oval is fine, but lobular means what? Let us understand with the help of this particular diagram which we are drawing here. Let us say if this is a cell. Now this lobular nucleus is found in the case of WBCs or the white blood cells found in the blood. Now there are different kind of white blood cells. Some are having bilobed nucleus. Bilobed means there are two stretches. It is present in this form. So they are bilobed structure. In some kind of white blood cells, they are multilobed. Like we can say it is like something this. They are having more lobular structures than a single one. So this is what present in some different kind of white blood cells. In some cases, the nucleus may be horseshoe shape. That means it may be this kind of structure. Neither it is oval, nor it is irregular, or not even it is a lobe structure. But it may be a horseshoe shaped structure. Now these different kind of structures are generally found in the case of blood cells. Now let us understand the structure of the cell. The parts which are present, let us first brief it out with the help of this particular diagram. So this nucleus is known as the brain of the cell. This we have studied already. It is central unit which is spherical in shape usually, but it may change. For example, the shape may be irregular or lobular in certain cases as we have discussed just now. Besides, it may be present towards the side of the wall, side of the plasma membrane, as in the case of plant cells. Now structure-wise, the nucleus is having a double membrane structure. We have studied that plasma membrane is a single membrane structure and it is a bilayer. So before we study this point, just make sure that you don't get confused with the bilayer structure and the double membrane structure. Bilayer means that we have studied in the case of plasma membrane. So each membrane is a bilayer structure. Let us see with the help of diagram. Each membrane is made up of these lipid molecules which are arranged in two layers. So such kind of arrangement was observed in the case of plasma membrane. Now this is a single membrane. If we are calling it as a double membrane structure, a similar structure would be present here on the other side. Like this, it may be in this form. There may be different composition with respect to the proteins embedded or the type of lipids present over there. But there are two different membranes present in this particular structure. So such double membrane structure which is present in the nucleus is known as nuclear membrane. Now this nuclear membrane is not continuous. What does it mean? It means that it is having gaps in between. That means at the point it is detached and is forming the unit, it is joined with the inner membrane. The outer and inner membrane is having joints with each other. And then again similar type of structures are observed. Let us understand here with the help of the diagram. A single continuous means what? It is arranged in this way. Two membranes are there, they are arranged in this manner. But no, in the case of nucleus, it is not like this. It is a discontinuous membrane. It is having pores in between. So it will appear like how? It will appear like this structure. You can see here, it is something like they are having gaps, so it will appear in this way. So there are gaps in between. So these gaps are actually known as what? They are known as nucleopores. These nucleopores are very important which help in the interaction of material in and out of the nucleus. Besides this, the inner material of this nuclear membrane is filled with nucleoplasm. So the granular mass which is present inside this particular nucleus or the nuclear membrane is known as nucleoplasm. We have studied that in between the nuclear membrane and the plasma membrane, some granular material is present, and that is known as cytoplasm. So cytoplasm together with the nucleoplasm is known as what? Protoplasm. Further, within this particular region there is a dense body, there is a region which is having concentrated proteins and the ribosomes, and that part is known as nucleolus. Further, besides that, in the nucleoplasm, the genetic material is present in the form of DNA, or we can call it as chromosome or the chromatin. So these are the basic parts which are present in the nucleus, which all together form the structural unit of the brain of the cell. Now let us study the detail of each and every part. So this is the typical structure of the cell nucleus in a eukaryotic cell. The outer boundary that you can see here is known as nuclear envelope, or it is also known as nuclear membrane. Now here you can see that there are two membranes. If we just cut it transversely or we observe the cross section of this particular nucleus, you will find that this boundary is actually having two layers. You can see this is the outer layer and this is the inner layer. So there are two layers present in this particular membrane. Further, these membranes, they are not continuous. They are having gaps in between. So as it is a ball-like structure or it is a sphere-like structure, then in between if pores are present, then how it is going to appear? You can see with the help of this diagram. This is a membrane. Just imagine, if from here we are extending it, in between these holes are observed. And these holes or these pores, they are known as nuclear pores or nucleopores. Further, in the center, you can see there is a dense region which is present, and this is known as nucleolus. See how it appears inside the nucleus. In this case, we can say nucleolus is a factory of ribosomes. In this, maximum the ribosomes are present and the RNA is also present. And these will be transported out from the nucleus, from these pores, to the endoplasmic reticulum, where the protein synthesis will take place. Besides this, the important content here is nucleoplasm. It is not shown here. Let us label it here now. So the material is present as a jelly-like substance here. You can see these small jelly material here. So this substance which is filled inside, this is known as nucleoplasm. So nucleoplasm is a jelly substance which is maintaining the inner environment of the cell. Further, there is a presence of genetic material. Now here they have labeled the 2 points. One is chromatin and chromosomes. Now just mind here one thing. Chromosomes, they usually appear during the cell division, and chromatin is also the genetic material, but it is present during the non-dividing phase. Basically they are the same thing, but its appearance is very different, and due to the change in the appearance, the function or its working will also vary. So chromatin is the genetic material which appears during the non-dividing phase of the cell, whereas when it is in the dividing condition, then it will appear as a cross-shaped structure as shown here in the diagram. Further, let us study each and every part in details now. Nuclear membrane. What we said? It is a double membrane structure which is separating the nuclear material from the cytoplasm. Now this material is actually, or this double membrane structure is not only forming the boundary of this particular nucleus, but it is also associated with the system of other membrane bound tubules. The other organelles which are present here, they are in direct contact with the nucleus. For example, the outer membrane of this nucleus or the nuclear membrane is extending out and is forming the another membranous structure known as endoplasmic reticulum. Further, it is serving as a barrier. What? The nuclear membrane. It is serving as a barrier between the nucleus and the cytoplasm. That means what? It means that the nuclear membrane will not allow the intermixing of the inner environment of the nucleus and the outer environment of the nucleus. That is, the nucleoplasm and cytoplasm, they are kept apart. They are kept separated from each other due to presence of this nuclear membrane. Now you can imagine the nuclear membrane is absent in the case of prokaryotic cells. So over there what will happen? The nuclear material is present within the region and there is no such separation between the nucleoplasm and the cytoplasm. So we always say that nucleoplasm is absent in the case of prokaryotic cells. The next part here is nucleopore. Now we already said that nuclear membrane is discontinuous, due to which the pores are formed and these pores are known as nucleopore. But can you think what is the fate of these nucleopores? Why these nucleopores are basically present? So we said that the nuclear membrane is present as a barrier. Now we don't want the complete separation of these environments. Otherwise it will become a restricted unit. If the interaction is not present between the nucleoplasm and the cytoplasm, then the functioning will be interrupted. We initially at the beginning of the lecture said that the nucleus is the control center. It is the brain of the cell. Why? Because it is able to send signals so as to control the activity of the cell. But how these signals are being transported? They are of course in the form of molecules. And if this barrier is so strict, then can you imagine that whether these molecules can be transported properly? It's practically not possible. And when something is working as a control unit as a brain, then it has to be in continuous contact with each and every part of the cell. So this is why the nuclear membrane, it is porous in nature as well as it is having the pores in between. That means it is permeable as well as the special pores are present so as to support the transfer of material between the nucleoplasm and the cytoplasm. Then comes nucleolus. Nucleolus, it is a smaller spherical body which is present inside the nucleus. Now this particular unit is not having any particular membrane in its surrounding. It is membraneless. So we can say that nucleolus is a region which is dense region which is present within the particular nucleus. So chemically it is rich in RNA and proteins. And these RNA and proteins are basically, they are meant for the synthesis of new proteins. Ribosomes are also present here, they are synthesized. So this is also known as the factory of ribosomes. Why? Because it is involved in the formation of the ribosomes. The next part here is nucleoplasm. The nucleoplasm, already we said, it's a jelly-like matrix or the substance which is filled inside the nucleus or inside the nuclear material. As cytoplasm is present in the cell, and the same function which is performed by the cytoplasm is similarly performed by the nucleoplasm inside the nucleus. Nucleoplasm, it is having what? Water, various other biomolecules like proteins, like carbohydrates, lipids, nucleotides, RNA, DNA, etc. So many other materials are present. Not only this, the essential minerals which are required for the functioning of various particular enzymes, even they are present in this matrix. The enzymes which are required for the multiplication of DNA, they are present within this matrix. So overall, it is the whole sole place for the various molecules required for the maintenance or the activity of the nucleus. Next part, the important part is chromosomes. Now chromosomes, they are the genetic material of the nucleus. Chromosomes, they appear as rod-shaped structures during cell division. During cell division, what happens? The chromosome will start multiplying and they will form the double copy of these rod-shaped structure, and thus these double rod-shaped structure will appear something like these cross structures as shown in the figure. So these appear cross-shaped structures during the dividing phase. Now let us clarify the basic facts about the chromosomes. These chromosomes, they actually carry the genes. What are genes? We can say structurally the genes are the section of this particular chromosome. Let us say this is cross-like structure is a chromosome. Now if suppose this small section, it is coding for a particular function or a characteristic or a protein, then this is known as a gene. So we can say gene is a functional unit of chromosomes or the nuclear material. Further, these genes, they are actually inherited during the cellular reproduction. Means what? The genes are the characteristics, or these are the units which help in the inheritance or transfer of characters from one generation to the next. That is, from the parental generation to the offspring. Now this parent to offspring can be related in two different ways. Either during reproduction process, when the new individuals are being formed. How the new individual is formed? In that case, ovum and the sperm, it gets fused, and then the zygote is formed, and this zygote will grow up in a fetus, embryo, and then the adult child will be produced. So during this process, what happened? When the sperm and ovum were fusing, they have actually transferred their own DNA into the zygote. So this transfer is actually nothing, but it is the transfer of this particular gene. How it is taking place? It is with the help of the chromosomes, as these are located over the chromosomes itself. So this is why the genes are so important. They are the section of these chromosomes only. They are located on the chromosomes and they are inherited from one generation to the another. And this is the reason why we call this gene as a functional unit of inheritance in the living organisms. Chemically, the gene or the chromosome, it is made up of DNA. Now this is very important point. It is made up of DNA, and along with DNA, the proteins are also present. DNA, it is forming the code for various information or the characteristic. Protein is supporting the structure of the DNA, or it is also supporting the synthesis or the multiplication of DNA, as it may serve as a receptor site for the binding of various other proteins which help in the multiplication of DNA during cellular reproduction or the replication process. So the DNA, it is the full form of DNA is what? It is deoxyribonucleic acid. Deoxyribo, it is a kind of sugar. Nucleic acid, they are the nucleotide units. So if we go in more depth of the structure of the DNA, then we can say that this DNA is made up of very small units called as nucleotides. So many nucleotides, they will together unite, they will bind with each other and they will form a long chain-like structure which is known as DNA. So we can say that DNA is a kind of polymer. It is made up of so many attached units, and this single attached unit is known as nucleotides. So the nucleotides, they are made up of three basic units. So what are these three units? It is a combination of a sugar, phosphate and a base. So this type of sugar which is present in the DNA, is a 5-carbon sugar, which is deoxyribose. This deoxyribose is a 5-carbon simple type of sugar. Further, it is having an attached molecule, that is phosphate. So phosphate is negatively charged. So the site where this phosphate is attached on the sugar unit, it becomes negatively charged. So this phosphate provides negative charge to the DNA unit. Besides this, there is the presence of a base unit. Now this base, they are of different kind. They are the nitrogenous base actually, and they are meant for forming the code for the information. So sugar and phosphate will be common in all of the nucleotide unit, but the change which occurs with respect to the type of various information or the characteristic, it is because of the base, as there are different kind of base. And secondly, these units are arranged in a different fashion. So they will form different combinations, and therefore they are going to construct different kind of DNA molecules so as to code for the different functions of the living system. Now let us say how these DNA molecules are present, how they are arranged. So this DNA or these nucleotides, they are going to attach with each other and they form a chain-like structure. DNA is not a single chain structure. Now just clear this point here. DNA is a double chain structure and each chain is forming a helix. So you imagine if there are two chains and they are forming a two helix over each other, then how they are going to appear. So let us make this picture here. So it is going to be more clear. See, we can say this is one chain. Fine. This is one of the strand of DNA. The another, let us say, is the another kind. Let us say we can change the color to make it clear. Suppose there is another chain also. Now it is not so that they are present separately. They are intertwined structures. They are present together. So imagine if these two gas intertwined, then what type of structure will appear? So let us clarify this point. It forms a double helix structure. It will be something like this. If you make it like this, it could be, this is one of the helix which is forming the coil. We have just opened the coil to explain it. The another coil will be in this way. So this is how the DNA molecule appears. Now in this case, we have said that these nucleotides, they are made up of three parts. The nucleotides, they have sugar, phosphate and the base. So all these units are forming this chain. There are so many units present in this particular structure. So many nucleotides. You can not even imagine 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are endless. There are infinity number of nucleotides and they are attached to each other and are forming the long chain. Same is true for the another chain also. Further, these molecules, we can say if these nucleotides are located over the chain, then what is the position of each part here? Each part, what I mean by that is the location of sugar, phosphate and the base. So what happens here is the base is located towards the interior of the helix. Then on this chain there is the presence of the sugar and towards the outside there is the presence of phosphate. So towards the outside these phosphate molecules are located which will impart negative charge to the structure. Not only this much, the base is always present inside and the base of both these strands can bond with each other specifically, and thus the two helix are held together in this type of helical structure. This is the appearance of DNA when the chromosome structure would be revealed completely. Not only this, they are also having certain proteins located. Now this DNA, they basically carry the information. What type of information? Which is necessary for the constructing and organizing the cell. That means the DNA are actually, they are the code for the different kind of material which are required for the maintenance of the cell. So all these information center is located in the genes itself. Of course, they also control the transfer. When we are saying the information is transferred or it is transmitted from parental generation to the offspring or the daughter generation, then what is actually transferring here is the DNA. So they all controls the transfer of these particular information from one generation to the another. Besides this, the another point is that in a non-dividing cell, these chromosomes, they do not appear as a cross-rod shaped structure. Rather, they appear as a mass of thread, entangled mass of thread, and this type of mass is known as chromatin. Now again, we can actually show you with the help of this small diagram. If this is the nucleus, then the appearance of chromosome is something like this, and if it is a non-dividing stage, it will appear something in the form of entangled mass, and this is known as chromatin, whereas the broad structures will be known as the chromosome. And of course, each part of the cell is having its own important role, and all that we are going to continue in the next part, in the next session. So further we are going to study about the functions of the nucleus. Until then, thank you so much. Goodbye. Have a nice day.